You're listening to a production of SportsLink Digital Radio.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of My 2 Cents here on this beautiful Wednesday. And guys, it's officially November 1st. It's a good day. It's our first My 2 Cents show in the month of November. Good to be back for this another episode. Dane Massey here alongside Max Gillie, back another episode, and joining the show for the first time is Brayden, Carroll. How you guys doing today?
Doing great today. Like you said, first day of November. Love November. That's when college football seems to really kick into high gear, and I'm excited for what we have ahead of us.
Max, how you doing today? Welcome back. Second time back. How you doing?
I'm so thrilled that you've decided to let me back. So super excited to be here. Listen, November, it is great. There are so many different sports. NFL, college basketball will be back. College football is going on. We got the NBA. We got a lot happening. It is so very exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting to be back, but not a whole lot of things have happened over the last week. But let's get right into it. How about Ball State football? Maction is finally here. We had a taste of Maction last night. How about that first play to start on Maction? Toledo taking a kickoff, the first kickoff of the game, all the way back for a touchdown. It's a great way to start Maction Ball State football. Getting back on the road for some midweek Maction tonight at 7 p.m. as they go on the road, take on Bowling Green. Can't wait. It's really fun to have Maction back for our weekday football. I just can't wait to watch this game between Ball State and Bowling Green.
It is, and I'm kind of getting tired of Conference USA trying to take this whole weekday thing that the MAC has had for a long time. Talked about Toledo. They really are great on all three phases of the football.
Oh, yeah.
Special teams, one of the best rushing teams in the MAC. Love that team. In Ball State, they have a tough opponent tonight, Bowling Green. We saw how they looked against Georgia Tech earlier this season. That's a good Georgia Tech team that they took down. Ball State has a big challenge ahead of them.
And the biggest thing with Ball State, they're looking to get that first road win of the year. Could it happen today? There are a lot of stakes. They're still looking to keep their season alive to be bowl eligible. It is an interesting time of the year for sure. So Ball State would love to get a big win on national television against Bowling Green.
And for some midweek Maction, seriously guys, midweek Maction is finally here. I mean, yesterday watching that game, it was so thrilling to have it back. I mean, me and my roommate, we were jumping up and down like little girls when we saw the first play, the kickoff, turned back for a touchdown. It was amazing. But going back to Ball State versus Bowling Green, you said it yourself, Max, Ball State needs to win out in order to become bowl eligible. They could possibly do it against Bowling Green, a team that has not been very good this season, has not been as good as they usually are this season. But Kyle Kelly has really turned the tide for the Ball State Cardinals at starting quarterback. He'll get another start in this game against Bowling Green. It's going to be exciting to see what Kyle Kelly can do against this Bowling Green squad. But Ball State really has a tough test ahead of them going forward. I mean, after this, they get Kent State and they get Miami. And Kent State, although they're not as super good as they usually are, Miami a very powerful opponent, a very good opponent. But Ball State has got to keep their winning ways going forward against Bowling Green if they're going to be able to get it done.
Well, Bowling Green, they present a big challenge for this Ball State team. They really know how to run the offense, and on defense, I mean, we looked at how North Carolina looked against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech ran all over them. I think it was in the first quarter and the third quarter, scored 0 points. Second and fourth quarter, put up 40-plus against that North Carolina team. And Bowling Green held them to below 40 points through the entire game en route to a 14-point win. This is a good Falcon team. But, hey, Ball State, they've earned a lot of respect at this point. The last two games before this one, Ball State, heavy spreads that they were up against, over double-digit dogs, and they've beaten the spread both times and pulled off the upset against Central Michigan. They have a little more respect now. Bowling Green still favored, though, 4.5, but heading into that road game, Ball State, they have a lot of momentum, and like we've said, a lot on the line as one more win and one more loss, I should say, and you're out of bowl eligibility.
It's going to be a fun one for sure, and Carroll just took the words out of my mouth. The word of the week last week was momentum, and it continues tonight against Bowling Green.
And now another team that is done for this season is Ball State soccer. They got knocked out in the quarterfinals against Ohio, and a team that it was very good on the defensive side of the ball. It was just kind of really, if you're a Ball State fan, sure, it was disappointing, but this team didn't have a lot of expectation. Ball State didn't really have a lot of expectation coming into this year with soccer, and just to have the season that they did, it was nothing short of incredible. I mean, Lexi Fraley getting MAC Offensive Player of the Year this year, and just the talent that this team had coming into this season, and they were on it from the jump. And sure, they had a little bit of a skid at the end of the year, and the loss to Ohio was tough. But I think Ohio was a very formidable test because that defense, that back line for Ohio has been nothing short of spectacular. But this Ball State, if you're the head coach for this Ball State soccer team, you really can't be nothing short. This is not a disappointing season. You can't. This is a very high-ended season, and there's really nothing that you should really have your heads down for.
Yeah, nothing to be disappointed about. I mean, a 500 season isn't going to break headlines, but it's also nothing that you would really be concerned about. And like you said, this Ball State offense, Lexi Fraley, this has been a great season for the Cardinals. And Ohio, it's really tough going into the first round of MAC tournament play, and you're playing a team that you just played 2 weeks ago. And Ohio came out there, they were aggressive, 3 yellow cards, maybe a little too aggressive at times, but they caught Ball State off guard, got the victory. But the Cardinals, like you said, good season. Got to be happy with it.
Yeah, the big thing with the Ball State is they had a difficult non-conference schedule. The MAC was very competitive. They have nothing to be disappointed about at all. Heck of a season, thanks to the seniors. And, oh, by the way, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really excited to see what this Ball State soccer team can do next year, especially with the high-end season that they had. But we'll transition away from Ball State sports and go to the NBA now. As the NBA in-season tournament pool play gets kicked off to start this Friday. Guys, I got to ask you, how do you guys feel about this in-season tournament? I love it. I think it's great. And I just can't wait to get it started. I really can't.
I don't have a problem with it. I've seen a lot of people say, well, we don't really need this. Well, it's a good way to get teams more dialed in early in the season because I see a lot of people talk about in the NBA world it takes 25 games to know what a team's really made of. Well, now we get to see what a team's made of earlier in the season, and I think that's something we can all appreciate.
I mean, at the end of the day, it is a made-for-TV tournament. There's a reason why it's in Vegas, but it's going to be exciting. It gives a reason for maybe casual fans to be paying attention to the NBA just a little bit more in a busy time of the year because, hey, they're playing for a trophy. They're trying to get bragging rights. So does this mean if you win the in-season tournament, you're going to win the finals? Probably not. But at this point, it's just getting people to watch the NBA, and that's what they need.
And I think it's exciting because it goes all the way to basically the end of December. And I think it's very interesting to see. And this was something that the NBA coming into this season was going to test is how can we make more, of course, get more viewers, but how can we make the season more interesting? I think adding this kind of thing makes it more interesting. It's a little bit of a twist between the MLB postseason and the sort of the midseason, the beginning tournaments of NCAA basketball. And it reminds me kind of like that. It's just kind of a two combined because how it will work is there's 3 pools in each conference. There's a West and an East conference. There's 3 pools. There's an A, B, and a C. The top 3 in each, the top seed in each pool in the A, B, and C will immediately get it advanced. But there's one wild card team, and it's the best team remaining with the overall record will get the 4 seed. So it does remind me kind of that postseason vibe where there's a wild card team, and it's going to be interesting to see. As we'll take a deep dive into each kind of pool and give our predictions as to who's going to win. We'll start with the West A: Memphis, Phoenix, the Los Angeles Lakers, Utah Jazz, and the Portland Trail Blazers. And the only teams I can see competing in this one could possibly be Phoenix. I could see and maybe the Los Angeles Lakers. I could definitely see making a run at that, but I think that Phoenix should have this division locked up in terms of just the pool play. If they can get by Los Angeles and I think Utah will cause a little bit of noise, but I just don't think that Phoenix just, as in terms of their talent in this going into this in-season tournament, they're just way too. So Phoenix, I think, wins the West A.
Well, what I see in this is Phoenix, they have so much talent that I could see them really kind of laying back in this, especially with the issues that we've had with injuries in the NBA, load management, all of that. Here's the thing, though. Lakers, LeBron, he's getting old, and he doesn't want to take time off the court. He's going to wait for the load management to come later in the season. I think Los Angeles breaks through here and takes this division, takes this pool, I should say.
Really? Okay.
It's going to be interesting to see for sure. I think Phoenix is probably the favorite. I just think that Phoenix is a much better team. But the big thing is, with the way they have this in-season tournament, anything can happen. And as we saw last night, as the Suns lost to the Spurs, you never know exactly what can happen. So there could be a team like a Phoenix that people are saying is a favorite. And if they just have 1 or 2 bad games, they're not going to be able to advance in this tournament.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that with Phoenix, how pool play works is that each team will play each other once, and the best record will advance. Phoenix, I think, out of all of them, I mean, Memphis would be my pick if John Morant was on the floor, but he's not for the first almost the first half of the season. And then Utah isn't really there. Portland's out. They're going to be done. But Los Angeles is a team that, you think is dead, but they just end up making like a run or something like that to be like, hey, we're over here. But I don't know. I just think that Phoenix, out of all of these teams, just has that drive, and it's just the only playoff contender that I see in this entire pool here. I mean, Kevin Durant is going to be there. We don't know if Bradley Beal is going to play for them. Devin Booker's there. I think they are the most talented team in this pool by far.
Here's what I'm going to say. LeBron, he has just about every accolade in the NBA. Here's a new one. Season to season is his career at this point. I don't think he wants to retire with an accolade left on the table, even though it isn't that important being the in-season tournament, but he wants it.
Yeah, certainly. And I don't know. Do I really want to bet on LeBron, or do I want to bet on a couple megastars on the Phoenix Suns? What gamble do I really want to take with this? So I went with Phoenix strictly because of the sheer talent that Phoenix has on that roster, and Phoenix is just going to be unmatched. They could go undefeated in this pool, I could see, but I think Phoenix will get it done. And moving on to the West B, Denver, Los Angeles Clippers, New Orleans, Dallas, and Houston. This is going to be a battle between Denver and Dallas. I don't see how New Orleans can make any noise. They'll probably be the 3, but Denver is going undefeated in this one. I got a bold prediction. Denver's going to go undefeated. They're going to go undefeated, and they're going to be the 1 seed coming out of the West. Nikola Jokic is a different breed. He's so much better than Zion, and you could make an argument that he's better than Luka Doncic. But don't be too shy about Dallas. I mean, they got Kyrie Irving, they got Luka Doncic. They still got a lot of talent on that team. So Dallas could possibly make a run, but Denver, I think, is the clear favorite in this one. I mean, you can't go against the reigning NBA champions with Nikola Jokic, who is the reigning MVP. You can't go against them, so the Nuggets are going to win.
Chemistry is going to play a big factor in this because, look, we can count the Rockets and Pelicans out, but the Mavericks, how's Luka and Kyrie going to look this season, new season on the floor, and how are the Clippers going to look? We saw James Harden. He got welcomed with a round of applause into the facility, so clearly that Clippers team with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and now James Harden, they have a mesh going there. Can they get it going early is the big question. I don't think you can count them out of this pool quite yet, but I do agree with you. Defending champs, the Joker, they have it going over there in Denver.
I've never been a big James Harden guy. I'm just going to say it out loud. I've never been a big James Harden guy. Ever since he got traded to Brooklyn, people are acting like James Harden is he's like Russell Westbrook right now when he got traded to the Rockets. And look how that turned out. Ever since James Harden got traded to he went to Brooklyn. Ever since he got traded to Philadelphia, it just hasn't looked like he really belongs. He didn't look like he really belonged in Philadelphia. Now you throw him in there with Russell Westbrook, an old teammate of his, and Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George. Oh, I completely forgot about Paul George. You throw him in that system as well, and it's just not going to pan out. I just don't see how this pans out for Los Angeles. You get 3 megastars who are ball hogs, by the way, and they will not give up the ball. They're going to be like they'll pretty much have an argument of who's going to take the last shot, and to me, that's just not a recipe for success.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. I do think the Clippers are a good team. I think they're better, but I think this is just going to be easy for the Denver Nuggets. There's a reason why I had them as the best in the West in our preseason predictions. I think Denver's just that good, and I don't think they're going to go sweep. I don't think anyone's going to get a sweep, but I do think it's going to be an easy route for the Denver Nuggets.
And then the final pool coming out of the West C division. This, personally, my opinion, is the best pool so far in the West Conference. Sacramento, Golden State, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, and San Antonio. How about San Antonio making some noise? Victor Wembanyama making some noise yesterday when he stole Kevin Durant's ball, and that kid's something special. He's going to be something special. Just so far, it's only been a couple of games, and he's looked like the promising prospect that we've all known him to be. Who do I want to pick in this division to win out? I could see Sacramento. Golden State is clutch as ever. Minnesota, they might be out. Oklahoma City could make a run. San Antonio could make some noise as well. So there's 4 of these 5 teams that could make some noise for me. Who am I going to pick? I'm gonna go with the experience. I'm gonna pick Golden State. I think that this is gonna be one of those pools where it's gonna be very close. But I just think that Steph Curry, you can't count out Steph Curry at all. He's he's the greatest shooter of all time, and Steph Curry all the way. Give me the Warriors to come out of the West C.
This is a tough pool. I think you can count everybody here in. Minnesota probably least likely. Anthony Edwards, he's going to go out and get his flowers, but I don't know if they can pull off many wins here. Here's the thing. Don't overlook Oklahoma City. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's had a great start to the season, already 3 30-point games, and Chet Holmgren, he's proved himself to be a defensive standout already, leading the league in blocks so far. This team could really surprise some people here. I think a lot of people are overlooking them. I'm going to take the Thunder here over the
Thunder.
Experienced competition.
He's taking the Thunder.
Well, I know this is a hot take show, but I'm going to go with the cold take. I think the Warriors are going to be in this one. This is going to be very competitive. All of these teams, obviously, we say Timberwolves probably least likely. They're going to be good, but I just see with the Thunder and the Spurs not enough experience. Kings are still a little bit new, so similar to Dane, I think experience matters in this in-season tournament, and I think that's why the Warriors are going to be contenders to watch for out.
You know what, Brayden? I'm gonna meet you in the middle there with a hot take. I think the Spurs probably end up second. I'm gonna say they finish with a close second, and I think that the Spurs. It's gonna be the Spurs or the Lakers for the wild card. I'll make it go even further. This is gonna be the Spurs or the Lakers for that fourth spot to take on the Denver Nuggets at the 1 seed. San Antonio with Victor Wembanyama, I think this is his time to shine and lead into a championship, in the in-season tournament championship, that is. But this is his time to prove himself. This is his time to prove that he belongs with the top dogs, and he deserves. Does the hype train continue for Victor Wembanyama? Do they not get knocked out early? I do not know. We'll find out when pool play begins. But this is Victor Wembanyama's chance to prove that he's worth the hype, that his hype train is still going. So I got San Antonio finishing with the 4 seed, and it's not going to be close.
And Wembanyama, Holmgren, that's going to be a fantastic matchup when they go up against each other.
For sure. And just young stars, too. I mean, the young talent so far has really panned out on both sides, and it's really been looking really interesting.
I mean, that will be the future of the NBA for sure, seeing the next generation of superstars. I'm just really excited to get to watch those matchups in that West C block. It's going to be really fun.
And then we'll transition to the East. The East A division, I think, is probably going to be one of the best. Is Philadelphia, Cleveland, Atlanta, Indiana, and Detroit. I'm going to go on a limb here. I think Indiana takes it. I think Indiana is the most talented team so far that I've seen in this bracket. I think that Cleveland could give a match them if they're healthy. Cleveland could give them a run. Philadelphia without James Harden, we'll see. Cleveland, I already said Cleveland. Depends on their healthy. Atlanta, they're very inconsistent. I don't think Atlanta will do anything. And Detroit, it's just Detroit. They won't do anything either. So I think Indiana right now is the most complete team. I mean, you got to love what Indiana's been doing so far. You got to love what they're doing. So give me the Pacers coming out of the East A.
I'm a Pacers fan. I got to be honest. I hate saying this, but I don't think they're going to be in the top 2 in this pool right here because, first off, 76ers, who has an answer for Embiid in this pool? I don't think anybody does. And then the Pistons, you look at how they've started. Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, and most importantly, Jalen Duren. Dominant force that they have going. I mean, in the future, that could be a serious triple threat, maybe a super team. We don't know. I mean, this is a young team. I think that they could come out and surprise some people here. Jalen Durham, he's going under the radar. I think this is when he shoots above as one of the top rookies from this previous class. But I'm going to take the 76ers and the experience that they have in these tournament playoff settings.
I mean, at the end of the day, Brayden's right. Experience is the most important. That's why 76ers should probably win in this one. Cavs are going to be fine. I don't really trust the Hawks. I'd like to trust the Pacers, and they do look good, but I just think they're not experienced enough. Same with Detroit. So overall, 76ers should be winning the East A.
Then we move on to the East B, Milwaukee, the New York Knicks, Miami Heat, Washington Wizards, and Charlotte Hornets. Well, Washington and Charlotte are out. That's just my opinion. It's going to be a battle between Milwaukee and Miami, I think. Because Miami, I just love what Miami did last season when they went all the way. Milwaukee, they have Damian Lillard. That team looks good so far. It's going to be a battle between the two. I'm going to go with my hometown. I'm going to say the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that this is the time where Damian Lillard and Giannis can come together. And truly show the NBA that they are the next big duo in the NBA, and I think that they prove it here in East play. They could go undefeated. I think that Milwaukee will go undefeated in pool play.
I think they will as well. Miami, this is a new Milwaukee team that they're going up against. I think they're going to get overwhelmed by Giannis and Damian Lillard. I think legitimately the closest point margin in this pool could be 15 points.
I 100% agree.
That's a bold one. I'm going with the Bucks for sure. They're going to be really good. Heat's going to be fine. I'm telling you, though, I feel like the Knicks, now they're not going to win at all. They're not going to be the ones to watch, but I feel like they can get an upset and potentially screw the Miami Heat out of being in contention in this East B. So give the Bucks the win.
And we move on to the East C. Boston, Brooklyn, Toronto, Chicago, and Orlando in the East C. Boston's winning this, and it's not going to be close. Next person, please.
I'm going to say the Bulls will bring a test, but the Celtics will prevail in this. I think the Bulls could beat them, and I think they could be the only loss that the Celtics have in this pool. But Boston, more experienced team, experience. Early in the season, that is what's key. So I'm going to take Boston.
I got to go with Boston, too, and I agree with you. The Bulls are fine, but I think that it's just going to be all Boston in this one, no questions asked.
And I just don't know who's going to get the 4 seed out of this. I think it's going to be between Philadelphia, Cleveland, and Miami. It's the only 4 teams I can. Cleveland, maybe not. I'll go with New York. I'll go Philadelphia, New York, and Miami for the 4. I think Miami has that underdog experience to get the 4 seed. They're kind of known to be in that kind of that picture. New York could do it. I love Julius Randle. I love what they're doing over there, and Jalen Brunson as well. I love that team. And I just, without James Harden, without somebody to back up Joel Embiid, I just don't think that this 76ers team is that dominant. I just don't think it's that dominant with, a guy that can kind of bail you out in a certain situation. He can be on the outside. He can take a ball outside and shoot a 3. I just don't think that this Philadelphia 76ers team is that good with James Harden or with a guy like him. So it's going to be a toss-up. I think Miami wins it strictly because I think Miami will probably take the 4 strictly because of that underdog mentality. And I'm a big Jimmy Butler guy, and give me the Heat. I mean, they have that underdog mentality. Give me the Heat.
I'm going to throw 2 out there. I think the Heat probably as well because the rest of that pool just isn't that strong. Let's be honest. The Knicks, like you guys say, Julius Randle, they have good things going on over there, but they aren't the Bucks. They aren't the Heat. The Heat just, come on now. And then I'm looking at Detroit as well. If the Sixers take East A, I think the Pistons come out of that pool with the second best record, possibly win out outside of that matchup with Philly.
Yeah, the big thing that I'm asking, I'm guessing it'll be Pacers versus Heat, trying to figure out the 4 seed. The big thing with the Heat is they sometimes start the season off slow, but there's something to play for now, so I think the Heat will end up being my 4 seed.
Well, we'll end up and see what happens on Friday. Pool play will begin on Friday. Then we'll move over to college football. The college football rankings ended up coming out last night, and Brayden's already shaking his head. I don't think he likes the decision, but we'll round off the top. We'll round off the top 10. How about that? We'll round off the top 10. So they have Ohio State at 1, which in my position, being an Ohio State fan, I understand. I understand why they put them at 1. I don't think they're the best team. In terms of talent, I don't think they're the best team. But in terms of resume, Ohio State clearly has the best resume out of all these top 10 teams in the country. I think that Notre Dame win and the win against Penn State really kind of elevated them a little bit. That's 2 top 10 wins for the Buckeyes, and I think that's what really puts them at the number 1 spot. So I understand if you're a little mad about Georgia and Michigan not being in that number 1 spot in terms of talent, but in terms of resume, the college football rankings are strictly based off resume. And if you want to go off a resume, Ohio State has probably the best resume in the country.
I'll say it's definitely not off resume if we're counting outside of this top 10 because the reason I'm so upset with this rankings is what I see is Air Force at 25 and Tulane at 24. A lot of disrespect to the group of 5 teams, as always, from the CFP. I'm also seeing Missouri at 12 above LSU for no reason whatsoever, seemingly. We also have Kansas above Oklahoma State. Those right there are 2 decisions where they're going against the resume. Oklahoma State beat Kansas. LSU beat Missouri by double digits. I don't understand the CFP in a lot of these situations here. But number one, I do agree. If you're looking at resume, if that's what we're going by, Ohio State has the best one. But if we're looking at what's going on the field, I think Michigan is number one.
I could see that. Max, what do you think?
I understand thinking.
I know you're a little bit heated about Ohio State being number one.
I know. I'm really not happy that they're number one. I hate to say this, I really do, because I always root against them. But I really think that Georgia, if we're going for who's the best team in college football, people will yell and argue about it. But I think Georgia's the best team in college football right now. I think anytime they've been playing decent SEC conference opponents, they're good. And I know everyone likes to think that the Big Ten is very good at football here because we are in the Midwest, but at the end of the day, I think Georgia would wipe the floor with Ohio State and Michigan.
And in terms of talent, I think Michigan's the best team in the country. I think it's not even close. I mean, when your defense is that good, where you're stopping people and not putting up like 40 points a game, and it's not even, and the game score's not even close. Yes, they haven't played anybody like super dominant, but their end of the schedule proves that can they be that team that everybody thinks that they are. They got Penn State at home. I think they got Penn State. They got Penn State on the road or at home. I don't remember, but they have Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State. Those are great. Maryland, people can say, oh, Maryland's not a great team. Their offense is pretty good. They gave Ohio State a test, and they held them at halftime. I mean, it was a close game at halftime, but Ohio State ended up pulling away because that's what Ohio State does. They're a second-half team. They've always been a second-half team this season. And it's just in terms of talent, if Michigan can find a way just to keep the way that they've been playing dominant football over the next couple of weeks and go into those last couple of weeks against Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State and play dominant football, they will be the number one team in the country.
With all these allegations Michigan has, I'm sure that Jim Harbaugh and that coaching staff outside of Connor Stallions, who's not involved in that coaching staff anymore, are pushing, hey, nobody likes us right now, so let's just go and beat everybody. And you look at Georgia, they have a very tough schedule coming up. We have Missouri, that's the number 12 team in the country. Ole Miss, number 10, and Tennessee on the road. That's the number 17 team in the country who wants vengeance from last year, where this game against Georgia ended all college football playoff hopes that they would have had. I think that Georgia, they come out with 2 losses there because they don't have Brock Bowers, and he is the heel, foot, toe of this offense. And in situations like the Auburn game where they've had a lot of trouble, Brock Bowers' play has gotten them the win. Without him, I just don't see them having that A-plus advantage that helps them win out here.
And I can see that personally. I don't think they get a win again. I think they beat Missouri. I don't know about Ole Miss because Ole Miss is a very consistent team from what I've seen from them. They could win you a game by 30 points, or they could lose it by 10. Like they're very inconsistent as to what identity that this team is. But you go into Ole Miss, you beat Ole Miss, and then after that they get Tennessee, a game that I think that Tennessee could win. But again, you said Brock Bowers is a difference maker. He is a difference maker. But Georgia's proven to win without Brock Bowers because they went into Gainesville, and it's a game that I picked them to lose, and they beat the living hell out of Florida. So if you want to base it off of Brock Bowers, I think that Georgia going forward is going to have a test, but I think Georgia going forward will end up getting it done. I just don't see a reason why Georgia will find a way to lose because Georgia doesn't do that. They don't lose. They just don't lose at all.
The way I see it, they have 5 tough games coming up because Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, we know they're going to bring the challenge, but also you can't overlook on the road at Georgia Tech. That's a Georgia Tech team with 2 top 25 wins this year, and then whoever they face in the SEC championship is going to bring a massive test, especially if they have to rematch Ole Miss. I know that that's a long shot with Alabama having beaten them already, but if that does happen, that is difficult to beat a team twice.
It's going to be interesting to see. But the big thing is I've been saying that Georgia has had a difficult schedule all throughout the year. And it seems like anytime they play those teams in the SEC where people are trying to say, will they be contenders? Will they be major teams that make a decent bowl run? Georgia has just absolutely flattened them. And I know what people are going to say. I remember Kentucky. Kentucky was, I thought, decent to start the year. They struggled. But the big thing now is, as you said, Brayden, this is the competition now. This is going to be able to determine if Georgia is for real.
I'll say the way they played against South Carolina, Alabama, Birmingham, and Vanderbilt doesn't spell a top 5 team, in my opinion. Doesn't spell a 2-time defending national championship team. I do not trust this Georgia football team, especially without their anchor.
One team I don't think deserves to be in the top 10, and I'm going to get a lot of heat for this. I don't think Alabama deserves to be in the top 10. I really don't. And you can make it all you want. Oh yeah, they're a one-loss team. I'm like, okay, but look at who they are not a great football team on paper. I mean, yeah, they have that resume. Yeah, Ohio State. You can make the same argument for Ohio State not being number 1. It's the same argument for Ohio State. But I just don't think that Alabama, in terms of just their wins, their losses, they have not looked good. And I just don't. I think there's. Let's see. I think Ole Miss is definitely better than Alabama despite the loss. I think that Penn State could beat Alabama on a good day. Louisville could be if Alabama plays at Louisville. I think Louisville can beat Alabama.
That's bold right there.
Yeah, I think Louisville could beat Alabama. If they played this game in Louisville, I think Louisville gets it done. So I don't think Alabama is a top 10 team at all. They're not. Not with Jalen Monroe as quarterback. They're sure as hell not a top 10 team with Jalen Monroe. 100%.
I mean, they don't have a much better option at QB, though. Hey, we've seen Alabama with mediocre-ish QBs, A.J. McCarron back in the 2010s, I should say. They've succeeded with a solid running game or without a solid QB. So I'm not really concerned about that here. And you look at the other teams, it's just who is better than Alabama outside the top 10. And I had this issue with Oklahoma because I look at Oklahoma, their loss to Kansas, embarrassing. Their near loss to UCF, embarrassing. This is not a good Oklahoma team to me, but you look at who's below them. It's like, is Penn State really better than Alabama and Oklahoma? Is Missouri really better than Alabama and Oklahoma? Louisville, LSU, Notre Dame, Oregon State, yada, yada, yada. I don't think so.
I think that Notre Dame could beat Alabama on a good day. They could. If they played this game at Notre Dame, they could beat Alabama.
A neutral site, though, because we're getting to the point
neutral
where
site.
CFP
If it's a neutral site, Notre Dame would beat them. I'm sticking with that. I think Notre Dame beats Alabama on a good day. I really do. Max, shaking your head over there. What are you thinking?
The big thing is I just trust Alabama a little bit more. I feel like they are starting to be they've been playing better in the second half of the season, so I think now it's going to be the time. And when they end up beating LSU, I think people are going to finally need to pay attention to them.
Yeah, and we'll get into our pick-ems now. And we'll start with number 1 Ohio State going on the road to take on Rutgers. I think this is going to be a game like it was against Wisconsin. I think that Ohio State struggled against Wisconsin, and Kyle McCord did not have a good game at all. I mean, that offense struggled against this Wisconsin defense. And going into another hostile environment in Rutgers. Yeah, Rutgers is not Wisconsin. We'll give him that. But going on the road to face a pretty decent Rutgers team, Rutgers could give Ohio State a challenge, but I think the Buckeyes just have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They're going to come out, and I think they blow out Rutgers going on the road.
A lot of people overlook this Rutgers team. Greg Schiano has finally built a stable program. They're already bowl eligible. They're 6-2. I mean, this is a Rutgers team that just a few years ago, 1-win, 2-win, 3-win seasons. Now they're here. I think that Rutgers, I wish this was a night game because I would honestly maybe lean towards an upset happening, maybe. But because it's a noon kickoff, which I absolutely despise, I'm going to take Ohio State. But the spread, 18.5, is a little too high. I'm going to say it stays within 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
I trust Ohio State. I think this is going to be a closer game than everyone and the analysts are thinking. I think Ohio State will get the win in this one. But the big thing is just can't sleep on Rutgers this year.
Yep, and going over to the Big 12, number 23, Kansas State, making the jump into the top 25, going on the road to take on number 7, Texas. If this game was in Kansas State, I would pick the Wildcats, but you can't go against Texas at home. I'm picking the Longhorns here.
Like you said, in Manhattan, Kansas State, this is the type of game that they win, but it's on the road. DKR has finally established itself as one of the loudest stadiums in college football once again. I think Texas really is back, and I think, look, it's a 4-point line in this one. Kind of ridiculous if you ask me. I think Texas ends up blowing out Kansas State.
I do think Texas will win, but I will argue for the longest time that Texas is not back, and they're not going to be back for a while. I don't trust them at all. But the big thing is I think Texas can get the win in this one. But, I just still don't trust Texas.
Then another SEC matchup, Texas A&M going on the road to take on number 11, Ole Miss. And I know that Lane Kiffin has really been saying that this Texas A&M team is a very good football team, and I do believe him. I think this Texas A&M team will give Ole Miss a test. Like I said, Ole Miss is a very consistent football team. They could show up and be the best team in the country or the worst team in the country, but I think it's going to be close. But I think Ole Miss will get it done. I think that they continue to prove that they are a formidable foe in the SEC. So Ole Miss and the Rebels get it done.
I will say, Jimbo Fisher, he's just not the coach here at Texas A&M. Ole Miss gets the win. You look at how Haynes King has developed at Georgia Tech versus how he was at A&M a year ago in the past 3 years of his career. Big difference. He looks much better at Georgia Tech. Jimbo Fisher just isn't the answer.
My big pick here is just Ole Miss. I think that they're just have the better roster than a much better team than Texas A&M.
Then we go over to number 12 Notre Dame going on to take on Clemson. And did you guys hear about that clip where the fan called in and Dabo Swinney just completely lost it on his radio show? I mean, Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers are having a little bit of a falling out this season. They're 4-4, but they do get Notre Dame in Death Valley, and I think Notre Dame will have a challenge in their hands. I mean, Clemson, although they are out of the rankings, they can still prove to be a challenge, and I think that they will give Notre Dame a challenge. But I still think that Sam Hartman, with the experience that he has in the ACC, being a member of Wake Forest, I think that I believe he was a part of NC State, I believe, but I think that Sam Hartman will get it done against the Clemson Tigers.
I do not like the way that Dabo Swinney is running his offense. Against NC State, Cade Klubnik, who we already know is not that good of a quarterback, threw 50 balls, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. I do not think Clemson has it handled right now. Clearly their scheming is off. Give me Notre Dame.
Well, I'm just going to say this. A year ago, I would have thought this would be a good matchup. At this point, I know Clemson is 4-4, and they are Clemson. It's at Clemson. I don't think this is going to be a close one. Give the win to Notre Dame.
Sam Hartman actually did go to Wake Forest, so that is on me. But I think that Sam Hartman, in terms, will get it done against Clemson. And then we go to Arizona State, going on the road to take on number 18, Utah. Utah coming off a loss against Oregon, a big loss against Oregon. This is going to be in the mountains in Utah. Arizona State's been proven to be a formidable opponent. They've proven to be in games, even though their record says otherwise. But still, give me the Utes to win this one at home.
Yeah, Utah's not losing 2 in a row at home. Give me the Utes to win this one big against an Arizona State team that has struggled in the past this season against some opponents they should have beaten.
There's a reason why Arizona State is 2-6, and with it being a Utah home game, give me Utah.
A rivalry game between Army schools. Army taking on number 25 and undefeated Air Force. Max is already shaking his eyes already. He doesn't like Air Force in the top 25, but give me Air Force. They continue to be undefeated, and they continue to climb the ranks in the top 25.
Max, do you actually have a problem with Air Force being in the top 25?
No.
Okay.
The big kid, they're undefeated. That's why they're in the top 25. We're not going to pull a stone and go on a 20-minute rant about
That's not the only reason why, though. That's not the only reason why. Best rushing offense in yards per game in college football. Top 5 in points allowed in college football. This team is legit. They're going to blow the brakes off of Army. Respect all of our troops, though. Love this game. Love the Commander Chiefs. Yeah, love this series.
Yeah, Air Force is just going to get the easy win over Army. And, I never thought I'd see Air Force beating Army. But, no, Air Force is going to get the win.
And we've moved into another SEC match. We've talked about it earlier. Number 12, Missouri, going on to take on number 2, Georgia. This was a game in Missouri. I would see Missouri pulling off a major upset. They probably win by 10, 17 points. I could see that happening. But this game is in Georgia, so I'm going to go with the Bulldogs. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be probably a field goal win for the Bulldogs. But I do think the Bulldogs keep their undefeated season, and they keep their CFP hopes alive.
Last season, Missouri gave Georgia the toughest test that they had all season. Georgia was down by 9, I believe, in the third quarter of that game. Ended up pulling it out at the end, 26-22. But this Missouri team, they're really tough. And you look at the line, 15.5, ridiculous. I'm sure that the Missouri coaching staff has showed their players that and said, hey, they don't like us at all. So I think this will be close, but Georgia's Georgia at home. Give me the Bulldogs.
I just got to go with Georgia in this one. Like I said, there's a reason why I believe Georgia's number 1. Missouri's a good team. They're not Georgia good.
Then we'll move into another rivalry game. Number 9, Oklahoma, going on the road to take on number 22, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma did not look good against Kansas last week. We'll get to Kansas in a little bit, but I don't know, it's a little bit of a toss-up because rivalry games, anything can happen, and especially if Oklahoma is in a hostile environment like Oklahoma State, it'll be a challenge. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. I'm going to go with an upset here. And I just love rivalry games. I love when these top-ranked teams go to play in hostile environments to see how they will do. So give me the Cowboys in Oklahoma State to win this one.
I think a lot of people want to choose Oklahoma State here because it is the final Bedlam game in what should be a long time with OU moving to the SEC. But the last time we saw this scenario, Texas A&M, last Lone Star Showdown game, Justin Tucker and the Longhorns pulled it off in Kyle Field as the heavy dogs here. Oklahoma, the Dogs, final rivalry game. I think the Sooners can pull it out.
I got to go with Oklahoma in this one. The big thing is I know they lost to Kansas, and that's an embarrassing loss. I don't think that Oklahoma is a bad football team, though. Give them the win.
And number 11, Penn State, going on the road to take on Maryland. And Penn State really struggled against last week, and Maryland gave Ohio State a bit of a test, and their offense has proven to be one of the best, I think one of the best in the Big Ten. So I'm going to go with an upset here, another upset. Give me Maryland to win this one, and Talia Tagovailoa getting the win over number 11, Penn State.
I'm very conflicted on this one because if you asked me 2 to 3 weeks ago, I would guarantee you an upset in favor of Maryland. But with Kevin Sumlin and the incident that he had now gone as the offensive coordinator, this Maryland team's looking for answers. But I think that they do have them. Tagovailoa is a fantastic quarterback. I think Maryland can pull it off at home. Give me the Terps.
I don't know why I trust Penn State, but I do. Give Penn State the win over Maryland. Have they looked terrible the last few weeks? Yes. I still think that Penn State is a okay football team, so give Penn State the win.
Then we move over to the Big 12. Number 21, Kansas, coming off an upset win where they threw the goalpost in the lake, and they're coming off another upset win, and they go on the road to take on Iowa State. Iowa State could give them a little bit of challenges despite their struggles early in the season. They're 5-3 right now, but give me Kansas to win this one. They continue to climb the ranks in what's been a surprising season for the Jayhawks.
I look at Iowa State, and sure, they're 4-1 right now in the Big 12, but their one loss, Oklahoma, 50-20. I think Iowa State, their record is a little deceiving. 5-3, 4-1 in conference. Kansas, they have a lot of momentum here. I think they can go into Ames and get the win.
Got to go with Kansas in this one. There's a reason why Kansas was able to beat a good Oklahoma team, so watch out for Kansas. And
Washington continued to climb the rank in the not only in the Pac-12 but in the CFP rankings. They go on the road to take on USC, an undefeated Washington team versus a one-loss USC team. Who do we got in this one? It's going to be Heisman winner versus Heisman Trophy contender versus Heisman Trophy contender. Penix Jr. versus Caleb Williams. It's going to be a fun one, but this is going to be Washington's game. Penix Jr. is going to prove that he's the Heisman winner this year, and give me Washington. Give me the Huskies. Not only to win this game, but to win the but to win the Pac-12 going forward.
USC is not a good football team. They have been completely dismantled. I saw this from week 1 in the performance that they had against San Jose State. They're not there. Their defense is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculously bad, I should say. I think they finished 7-5, and this is the first of 3 losses coming up.
I mean, now's the time when USC is finally taking on the actual good opponents now, and they've been showing all year long that their defense is not very good, and against a Washington team that has a great offense, give USC the win.
And then we move over to the SEC, the primetime matchup between number 14 LSU and number 8 Alabama. And this is going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be a fun matchup. I mean, you got two rivals that really don't like each other in a battle for that division in the SEC. LSU going on the road to take on Alabama. If this was in Baton Rouge, I would take LSU. But LSU, to me, I mean, their offense with Jalen Daniels has been really spectacular. But I think Alabama finds a way to close out the defense. And I think that Alabama gets a win at home against LSU.
Alabama, they're not losing twice in one season at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And they remember the sour grapes that Brian Kelly and LSU left. I mean, look, that was a bad loss for the Crimson Tide last year by 1 point in overtime. They remember it. Jalen Milroe wants to be the guy here at Alabama. I think that they pull off a double-digit win against the Tigers.
You got to go with Alabama in this one, especially being at Alabama. LSU is good, but Alabama's much better. Give the win to Alabama.
Then we'll move over to our last matchup. Chip Kelly and the UCLA Bruins going out to take on Arizona. Arizona, a team that can be very formidable. It's a very formidable opponent. They've known to be in games. But I'm gonna go with Chip Kelly and the UCLA Bruins. Shout out to Carson Steele out there in Los Angeles. Give me the Bruins with the win.
Arizona, they have been the team to beat in the Pac-12. If you beat them, you've proven yourself. We saw how Washington looked against Arizona. They struggled. We saw how USC looked against Arizona. They struggled. We saw how Oregon State looked, got upset. I think that this Arizona team, very tough. I don't know if UCLA is ready. I'm sure that they've seen what they're capable of, but I think at home for the Wildcats, they pull off the upset win again.
That was going to be my biggest thing is I keep picking against Arizona because it seems like it's an easy thing to do, but Arizona's for real, and give them the win over UCLA for the upset that they have been desperately working towards hitting this year.
Yeah, we'll move over to the NFL now. The trade deadline was yesterday. It's come and gone, and there was not a lot of big trades that like we thought. The only big trade that we saw was Chase Young going to the 49ers for a third-round pick. And, guys, what are your overall thoughts on this trade deadline? I thought it was a little bit uneventful. I was a little bit disappointed to see how many trades were going on. But that trade with Chase Young going to the 49ers, that makes them just so much danger. With the Ohio State duo back together, with Chase Young and Nick Bosa coming back together to reunite, the Ohio State duo is back. And just that duo and that defensive front for the 49ers now is just so deadly with Chase Young added to the roster.
What concerns me here is that Chase Young was given away for very, very low value.
A third-round pick.
Yeah. And I feel like that means the Commanders know something. And we've seen Chase Young's production kind of decrease since his rookie season, which was one of the best rookie seasons from an edge rusher we've ever seen in the NFL. I think he could be a good addition to San Francisco, but this really isn't a world beater type of move that I see here. And to be honest, this entire trade deadline has felt like no world beaters have been moved around.
Yeah, there wasn't really that big of news there. Unsurprising for sure. But, I mean, congratulations to Chase Young. He's on a contender now.
Yeah, seriously. I think that makes the 49ers a bit more of a contender now. And I think that the 49ers defense, they've had their struggles. This 49ers team so far has had a lot of struggles. They need a little bit of a pick-me-up here. And I think that with the Chase Young deal, I think they definitely get it done. So we'll move into our pick-ems for here. We'll go into Thursday night matchup, Tennessee going on the road to take on Pittsburgh. And Will Levis. Have a day, Will Levis, but give me the Steelers. He's going up against a different opponent in the Steelers defense, a defense that has been known to wreck rookie quarterbacks. And so give me the Steelers in this one.
This is an interesting matchup between QBs. We don't know if Kenny Pickett's going to be at 100%. We know that Will Levis has a lot of momentum coming in, but TJ Watt, the best defensive player in the NFL, I think he in this front takes Will Levis by surprise and gets the win at Pittsburgh.
You know what? If it was a couple weeks ago, I would for sure said it was going to be an easy win for the Steelers. But the Steelers are very banged up. Major Fitzpatrick going out. We're not sure if Kenny Pickett will be able to play. I think the Titans pull a really close one and get an upset.
And this is the game that's going to be in Germany. Miami taking on Kansas City. The Dolphins and the Chiefs, probably the two best teams in the AFC. Tua Tagovailoa versus Patrick Mahomes, a very intriguing matchup for many. But give me the Dolphins in an upset. I just love this Dolphins team, especially with Jalen Ramsey coming back for that defense. He's proven already to be a formidable foe, a formidable corner on the outside for the Dolphins. So give me the Finns over the Chiefs in Germany.
A lot of people overlooked this Chiefs defense that Chris Jones is leading. I mean, this is a pretty solid team that Kansas City has developed, but I do think Miami, with the powerhouse offense that they have, can pull this win off. It'll be close, it'll be back and forth, but give me Miami.
Got to go with the Chiefs in this one. I feel like the loss to the Broncos was a fluke last week. I feel like the Chiefs are still very good. Give Kansas City to win.
Then the Minnesota-less Minnesota Vikings will go on the road to take on the Atlanta Falcons. They lost Kirk Cousins due to a season-ending injury. But I just think that's the deciding factor. Give me Taylor Heineke and the Falcons as the Minnesota Vikings will go on the road to take on the Falcons. I got the Falcons in this one.
Taylor Heineke, he's a nice fresh start for the Falcons. I mean, we've seen Desmond Ridder this season. He's up and down. He's fumbling left and right. He's throwing passes he shouldn't throw in any universe. I think that Atlanta can pull this win off, and Minnesota really struggling as the season goes on.
Biggest thing is I have been saying that I think the Falcons needed a new quarterback. Heineke brings that, give them the win over a Vikings team that it's going to take a while for them to recover.
And we move on to another matchup. Arizona going on the road to take on Cleveland. Arizona is going to be starting a brand new quarterback this week. Cleveland, not sure if Deshaun Watson will be able to return from the Browns, but I got the Browns. I mean, that defense is going to wreck Arizona, and especially with Cleveland being at home, the fan base is just rowdy when it comes to games. So give me the Browns, and the Browns will move to 5-3. It's been a very weird season for the Browns, but give me Cleveland against Arizona.
And P.J. Walker, if Deshaun Watson doesn't play, he's proved that he is a quality backup who can come in and lead the team to a win. We saw what he did against San Francisco. This Arizona team is nothing, to be honest. Give me Cleveland big.
I got to go with Cleveland in this one, too. I don't trust the Cardinals at all.
Then the Rams go on the road to take on Green Bay and Lambeau. It's going to be a very intriguing match. It was kind of a coin toss for me because the Rams are probably going to be without Matthew Stafford, which means that they're a different team. But Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are a different breed. And that defense, I mean, the Rams have proven that they're not a team that can be shied away from. But I know it's Green Bay. I know it's in Lambeau. But give me the Rams an upset over Green Bay.
The flip between 3-5 and 2-6 for Green Bay is the kind of flip that could determine your playoff chances. This is a big one. This is a big test for Jordan Love against a proven team like Los Angeles, but I think the Packers, I think they can pull it off at home.
I got to agree with you. I got to take the Packers at home. I just feel like having Stafford out is going to give the Packers the win.
Then we move over to Washington going on the road to take on New England. And give me the Commies and the Commanders. And I don't know. I don't trust Bill Belichick anymore as much as I used to, especially with the quarterback controversy over there in New England. Give me the Commies and the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, Commies, Patriots, it's like the Cold War, except it's going to be 54 degrees and sunny out there in Foxborough. I think the Patriots, they are very disciplined. They've really struggled this season, but they've been able to pull out some wins. I think they can get this one.
The Commanders looked somewhat decent, actually, against a very good Eagles team. And with that being said, I think that they should get the win over the Patriots.
Then Chicago will go on the road to take on New Orleans. And I know that Chicago is having a lot of stuff done right now. I know Chicago just had their running back coach removed from the premises. But I think that Chicago right now is a mess. And I think that New Orleans is going to take advantage of that and give me Alvin Kamara just to run all over the Chicago Bears.
These last 4 weeks for New Orleans, sure they're 2-2, but a quality win against New England and Indianapolis. This is a decent New Orleans team. I think they get this victory over Chicago.
Got to go with New Orleans in this one as well. Kamara's going to be doing good. Michael Thomas looked decent against the Colts. Give New Orleans the win.
Seattle going on the road to take on Baltimore. The thing to note for me is that Baltimore, ever since Lamar Jackson came to town, is 17-1 against NFC opponents. Make it 18-1. Give me the Ravens.
Baltimore's fine here. Home game, Lamar Jackson's really hitting stride this season. I'll take Baltimore.
Baltimore is a really good team. I truly think that they are going to for sure win the AFC North. They're a very good team. Give them the win over Seattle.
Then the Buccaneers go on the road to take on the Texans, and this Texans team is different. I think they proved to 500. Give me the Texans and C.J. Stroud to win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Stroud has earned his stripes as a starter in the NFL. That was a tough loss against Carolina that they had last week. I don't think that they let another loss slip as soon as that last one. Give me the Texans.
Got to go with the Texans as well. I cannot trust the Buccaneers at all. I really can't.
I understand that. Then we move over to Indianapolis versus Carolina. I'm going to make it pretty fair here. If Indianapolis loses to Carolina the way they've looked over the last 2 weeks, you're out of your mind. Give me the Colts in this one.
2 weeks ago, I said Indianapolis should go 4-0 in their next 4 games. They're 0-2 so far against those opponents. No chance they lose this time. Give me the Colts.
Colts are for sure going to get a much-needed win, and that's what you want to see against the Panthers. Give me the Colts.
And the Giants are going on the road to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders just last night fired Josh McDaniels and the general manager. So I think that this Raiders team right now is in shambles, but give me the Giants. So I'm going to go with an upset. Give me the Giants against the Raiders.
The way the Giants finished against the Jets was embarrassing over the weekend. I think Oakland, a lot of people overlooking them because of the issues going on with the coaching staff. I think they can get the home victory, though, against New York.
It's going to be a terrible game, but give me the Raiders in that one.
Then we move over to an NFC East rivalry game. This is a matchup I'm really excited to see. Dallas going on the road to take on Philadelphia. I think it's going to be an interesting test to see what both teams do. But give me the Eagles in this one, and give me Jalen Hurts to basically throw all over that Dallas defense.
Dak Prescott in Philadelphia is always a recipe for disaster. Not for other teams, but for his own team. Give me Philadelphia.
Philadelphia's going to win this one. I know Jalen Hurts is playing hurt, but I think he's going to still be able to lead the Eagles to the win over the Cowboys.
Then Sunday Night Football game, this is a very interesting matchup. The game that was supposed to happen last year, that was supposed to be the Sunday night game, Buffalo going on the road to take on Cincinnati. It was the tragedy with DeMar Hamlin last year that ended up that game not happening. This year we get to see a primetime match between the two, the match that was supposed to be last year between the two. But give me the Bengals. I mean, this Bengals team has been on a run ever since they started, 1-3? But now they've really pulled away two or three straight wins. Give me the Bengals and improve them to 5-3.
Bengals just went 4-0 in the NFC West, but you look at Buffalo, they're on the opposite trajectory, going way down. But I think this is the game that Josh Allen and this offense gets it together and pulls off the upset win.
You just said that Buffalo is going on the opposite trajectory, and I think they're going to continue to fall. Give me the Bengals in this one.
The Monday Night Football, the Los Angeles Chargers going to the Meadowlands and taking on the New York Jets. The Jets are riding high on Zach Wilson. I think that they shouldn't be riding high on that. They should be riding high on that defense that the Jets have produced. And give me the Jets. I think that the Los Angeles Chargers, I know they're coming off a dominant Monday night win against Chicago, but I just like the fact that the New York Jets right now, they're going to keep stringing together close wins. And I think that the Jets get another one against the Chargers.
There's so much confidence in this Jets facility right now because Aaron Rodgers is so confident he'll come back. I love the way Zach Wilson is playing right now. I think that they can get the job done again in a close game.
Got to go with the Jets in this one. I haven't trusted the Chargers a lot. Give me the Jets.
And that's going to do it for this episode of My 2 Cents here on SL Digital Radio, presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. Thank you to my guests, Max and Brayden, for joining this show. We'll be back next week for another episode of My 2 Cents here on SL Digital Radio, presented by Victory Honda of Muncie. We'll see you next week.
This has been a production of SportsLink Digital Radio.